Hey Nate, welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great, Ada. How are you?
Great. I'm so excited to have you on, especially in the field that you work in. It's so intriguing to a lot of legal professionals, and it's unterritorial, right? Because your territory is endless, and you
That's right.
can really go anywhere you want with it. So let's talk a little bit about it. It's mostly court reporting, but obviously there's a lot of more elements to that. So go ahead, let us know what
Yeah,
that's about.
yeah, that is correct. So, we are a domestic-based company, but certainly depositions are taken all around the country and internationally as well. So we do have offices in Asia, and we've taken them in South America and all over Europe. So it's really not siloed just to the United States, where sometimes I think people think, hey, we only do or a court reporting company only does work in a particular state. No, it's all over the place, and it's happening every day, all day. So it's a very busy business, and international. It's a 24/7 thing. So
Right.
keeps us busy, and I think it keeps paralegals and attorneys busy. So it's
Yeah,
a good place
especially
to
with the
be.
scheduling that's involved, and if there's multiple parties and multiple time zones,
That's
it
right.
gets a little tedious. So the paralegals obviously know about the scheduling and the setting up part because they do a lot of that. But tell us about the ins and outs of it, and it's a growing, right? It's a growing industry as well, right? It has
Yeah,
expanded a lot from when it's first started.
that's right. It's growing, and it's actually evolving quite rapidly. So a bit of a history lesson, but court reporting has been around, or can be traced back to, I think, 63 BC. So if you think
Wow.
about that, and that was in order to really transcribe the speeches of Roman philosophers.
Hmm.
So a lot of people don't realize that. So
No, I didn't even know that. And I took paralegal studies. Wow, that's crazy.
it's pretty nuts. And then, as some of you may know, in 1870, the first stenotype machine was built. So, and
Right.
I think that was the transition into kind of what we see today.
Mhm.
And then probably over the last 100 years, it's evolved with various technology. And then it became what everybody traditionally saw with the stenographer taking the record and all of that.
Right.
But so what we're seeing now, though, with COVID is a new kind of inflection point and transition and an adjustment to the industry. And how are people adjusting, not only court reporting companies, but also the attorneys and the paralegals, and what can they expect really in the future moving forward? So it's a real good question to say, okay, so where are we now, right?
Right. Yeah. Especially the pandemic, right? It has changed the legal industry and it has fast forward so many things. So the court reporting obviously had to join in on the fun.
That's right. That's right. Well, transitions are always tough for people, regardless of where you're coming from. But I think with COVID, it's kind of forced a lot of people to become comfortable with new technologies, new ways
Right.
of doing things,
Mhm.
and for better or worse, it's better to embrace it than to fight it.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and I think some of the concerns was kind of going from a in-person setting to more of a remote setting. But we're doing this podcast over Zoom. A lot of folks are working remotely. But
We all
there,
know that little kitty attorney.
yeah, but it's something that we're all having to embrace and kind of move forward. And I think there's probably been some pushback, a little bit of concerns with when folks are taking deposition, they prefer to be in person live. There's certain nuances. You can look somebody directly in the eye, pick up on certain cues,
Yeah,
that
for
sort of
sure.
thing. But with COVID, the hands being forced, where folks are just having to transition over. Kind of so coincidentally, Planet Depos, or the company that I work for, has been doing remote depositions for over 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is nothing really new to us, or really so much the industry. It's just become the forefront during times of COVID. So,
Okay.
so traditionally, where you would see it employed was maybe over international depositions. Maybe you have an attorney in New York and Los Angeles, and somebody getting deposed in Korea, that sort of thing. And maybe from a cost-effective standpoint, it's just better than flying halfway across, all the way
Yeah, in the
around the
world.
world to do it, right? So,
Right.
so there was some, so folks were like, no, I'd rather just, to fly there. But so it's nothing new to us. So when kind of COVID hit, we were, okay, this is great. We just kind of pivot, and we're here for, we have everything dialed in,
That's
and let's
awesome.
let's educate people, though.
Yeah.
And the main thing was education, education, education.
I'm all for it. You guys know that. So
Yes, and education is key, and you don't know what you don't know, and so now if you're thrust into something, everybody's kind of running around and saying, okay, well, what do I do, right? So
right,
okay,
yeah.
well, we're here for you. Let's kind of handhold you all the way through, explain the process, explain the expectations, and then teach you how to best manage a deposition within a remote setting.
Right,
So
absolutely.
so
I love
yeah,
it.
so yeah, so it's been great, and a lot of my days are actually built around doing trainings for paralegals, even attorneys, and getting everybody prepped and ready. So when they do the deposition, especially for their first time, they're very, very prepared and comfortable. And what we're finding is a lot of times an attorney will say, you know what, this was a little strange at first, but never again will I do a deposition in person. This was actually easy.
Yeah, you can do the same thing, right? So I mean,
That's right.
obviously it gets a little complicated and a little convoluted when you add like translators in there because of the different language barriers, or maybe they're not so dominant in the English language.
Yep.
So yeah, it can be a little overwhelming to do everything virtually and make sure that everybody's like logged on. You can hear everybody. Like before we recorded, we even did a mic check and a hearing check and all that. So,
Right.
and that's only two of us. Imagine when there's multiple parties involved and exhibits need to be shown, all the intricacies that go into doing that. I think, yeah, a little hand holding is really important.
Yep. And to speak to that point, so to make sure everything runs smoothly, a few things. We do usually have a tech on board to make sure that all connections are set, audio is great, video feeds are great. So the deposition's ready to start at the go time. There's no wasting time, fumbling around. We're set, the court reporter's ready to rock, at the set time. But it's really important to know that what you can do in a remote setting is very similar, almost exact to what you can do live. So that's management of exhibits. We can show exhibits. We can even interact with them, highlight them, circle them, hand over control over to, let's say, a witness, if they like to interact with them. And then much like a hot seat technician, we would have a tech in the background. So if you say, bring up exhibit 1A, they'll bring it right up. Yep. So we take all the heavy lifting out of the hands of the either the paralegal or the attorney, and we just allow them to focus on the line of questioning.
Let's face it, it's the paralegal. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I love my attorneys. I love you. Don't be mad at me.
But there's a lot of other stuff that can be done too. So, if anybody's ever used a real-time reporter as well, that can be employed in a remote setting. It's very simple. Usually to have a separate screen or iPad where the real-time feed would come on board. The reporter would be on the Zoom meeting, so everything would go just as planned. To be quite honest, the only difference
some
is
people might not know what real-time reporting is. So can you kind of give a quick little?
Yeah. So they're very specialized reporters. To be quite honest, very, very extremely talented. To be quite honest, and probably there's not a lot of them out there to be quite honest.
Yeah, it's very specialized.
That is right. So usually when a real-time reporter is employed, it is giving a real live feed of the transcript as it's going. Usually sometimes when somebody's taking a record, it has to be cleaned up and then, they send it out. These folks can do the live stream right there. So, depending if it's needed, usually it's in bigger litigation when that's employed.
I was just going to say that, like class action lawsuits or multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar, lawsuits. That's usually when they're pricey. You got to pay for it. So.
That is correct, and that's usually when they're used. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for maybe a small divorce case or small insurance defense case, something like that. But you never know.
I'm sure some people would just to kind of like.
Yeah. But then we also employ translators, interpreters as well. So they could be on the feed. Sometimes you have folks speaking all kinds of languages, and we get them all from Korean to Russian to various dialects in Africa.
How do you find those translators, by the way? Because I know a lot of people are interested, especially paralegals that are multilingual, like I am as well. I am a certified translator, but I don't do much of it unless my attorney offers it. How do you guys is it everything on a contractual basis, or I'm sure a lot of people are interested on how that works.
That is, they are on a contractual, it is a contractual basis, but we do the heavy lifting and find them for for the firm,
Okay.
so they don't have to spend the time searching. Now,
Yeah.
if they'd like to, please go right ahead. But we really try to make everything soup to
Full
nuts. So I guess
service.
the name Planet Depots is all encompassing in a way. So we do have a specialized international department that is 24/7, and we are 24/7 anyway. But the international department is obviously working on various time zones, that kind of thing. So.
Right.
So if you had an international deposition, you'd be funneled right to them. They'd find basically the areas of which to take the deposition, whether it be a consulate or a hotel, that sort of thing, because every country has its own nuances. They also try to find the exact translators as well for specific cases. So you might need a Korean translator that is good in engineering, or you might need somebody who speaks French that is proficient in medical terminology, right?
Yeah.
So,
and not only that, I think, well, I know me because I know French in particular. Quebec, Canada their French is a little different than the French from France. So, even the different dialects, sometimes you have to look for it because maybe that person's, or the Creole, right? A lot of people think that Creole is French.
That's right.
Which is not. So, things like that. And even in the Spanish world, if you're from the Caribbean, you speak a little different than from the South Americans. So even to that detail, I know it has to be a little tedious.
No, it's not tedious. It's spot on, and that's what we do. And that's why we ask those questions beforehand, so we can really dial it in. So it's all about that communication with us and really saying, what exactly do you need? And we'll move heaven and earth to make it happen. So and that's why that kind of relationship, whether it's us or another court reporting company, you really need to have a good back and forth and say exactly what you like. And we can really custom tailor your experience, but also deliver on what you need. So you can kind of focus on what you need.
Well, it's always up to the person hiring, right, or looking for the services to really give that directive, right? A lot of people love to push the buck and say, well, they messed up on this, or they didn't give us this, when the request maybe wasn't that detailed, or maybe that's just something that they never thought about, right? So I know for me, it happens when I was young in my career. I was trying to get a translator for this particular depot. I didn't realize that the person was from Nicaragua, but he didn't speak Spanish. He spoke a dialect, because they have a lot of native languages in like Nicaragua, Ecuador, all those South American, very native Indian tribe kind of dialects. Yep. So I didn't realize that it wasn't Spanish. I just assumed, right? Because they told me he was from Nicaragua, and I'm thinking, okay, so it's Spanish. No, totally wrong. I got a Spanish translator. We're, in the midst of the depot, and the guy's like, I don't understand what he's saying. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't understand what he's saying? You're the translator.
Oh my goodness.
And he's like, no, he's from Nicaragua, from the tribe of ABCY. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, guys, really do your research. I always suggest that you really hire an expert if you're you're not good at this stuff. I know paralegals want to be an all-in-oneer, which is great, but these types of services that offer everything for you, plus I'm a stickler for time management, so this will definitely take a lot of load off of you, a lot of responsibility, which I think is kind of the point, right, Nate?
Right. That's precisely it. It's time management, and time is an interesting commodity. It's the only thing that cannot be made up. You only have so much time in this world, or throughout the day. The
only thing that we all have equal of, right? So we're all equal on that point.
That's right. That's right. So, so our international team's great on that end. And as a matter of fact, I'll offer to your listeners, if they are interested in international depots, we offer a great international deposition guide that has the various nuances of various countries and considerations to be considered. And I can always send that off via PDF or something like that if they want to.
Oh, that would be great. Oh my God, guys, isn't that awesome? Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. I have a lot of followers that had, I have this one follower that I just had a coaching session with, that she came from Africa and she moved to New York. She has dual citizenship. She was an attorney in Africa. So she's really interested in learning all the, what she can do with the skills she already has.
Yep.
Which I think, I usually offer these types of things to, multilingual people, even if they're native or not, a lot of people just learn, like, I'm not French, but I learned.
Yep.
So, kind of like anything that can support what you already know and enhance those type of skills. I think these services and these avenues are just
Right.
really great for people that are just trying to get into the legal industry in general. It's a
Yeah.
great, stepping stone, or some people actually like it and stay. I know a lot of translators that make a living off of just translating documents or
That's right.
translating verbally. I know you guys use it a lot in the courtrooms, when in
Yep.
front of a judge or as a witness or jury selection, they're really good at all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's correct. We translate documents as well. Sometimes we'll just get a request to translate a document, and that's perfectly fine. So
That's
it's not
my
all
jam. That's my jam. I rather translate documents.
okay. Well, we'll keep you in mind if you need to translate some Spanish then.
I know. No, that's awesome. Thank you,
Uh,
Nate. That's awesome. I know
yeah.
you wanted to talk about something else, and I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
forgot. There was one more thing.
maybe to kind of go back to the remote depositions a little bit and kind of some of the trends and why some folks are kind of starting to embrace it, especially firms, and kind of what that means as well. So,
Okay.
Obviously we talked about like the time and travel. So now you're starting to mitigate the cost,
Yeah.
but also the firm's clients are now looking at their bottom line. And they're saying, well, do we really need to pay for your travel and hotel and all that stuff? So how does the firm keep their client happy?
It's all about the budget.
It can be, right? So remote depositions are certainly one way to mitigate it. And I think the other piece is, firms are starting to reduce their footprint as well, their geographical footprint,
I like that. Okay.
And so, now we have either support staff working from home or even, attorneys working from home, and everybody's kind of going on that Zoom kind of interface or, remote interface.
So you see this being like here to stay, right? You don't think it's going anywhere?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, you never know what the future holds, but the trends are
obviously.
Right. Right. I mean, it's been a crazy year, right?
Yeah.
But I think as firms are now really starting to embrace it, and they're starting to see, hey, from a cost-effective standpoint, and folks are becoming more familiar and comfortable, and the fear is gone, I think it's going to stay. I think there will always be a need for the in-person, and we certainly do host live depots. Certainly all the safety protocols in place, and
like attorneys are never going to give up their office space. Like that's just not going to happen. That's their real estate. That's what they love. They love to be, in their office and in their realm. And I speak for a good 70% of them, because I know 70% of them.
Yeah, right.
And they're all like, no, I like my office.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about human interaction. You need it. It can't be completely remote. So, maybe there's a hybrid, and depending on the firm, it's maybe weighted a little differently, but I think remote on some sort of level or capacity is going to be part of the equation, on some capacity with law firms moving forward. And especially as views change, and you have maybe younger attorneys or associates coming in that are more comfortable with this, and this is what they've been raised on. There's going to be more of a global acceptance.
I think that you hit it right on the nail on that one. I think the generations to come are so into technology that I think the legal industry is just going to enhance that much. I mean, I was just, I think I said this before in one of the other episodes, but, I remember that I was at a trial with my attorney, and the technology, like I had to bring an outlet adapter because they didn't have the outlet that we needed in order to connect. And I'm like, it's so ancient. Like, how long has it been since these courthouses haven't been updated, people? And here we are trying to, show exhibits and show diagrams. This one was like a multi-billion-dollar personal injury. So we spent a lot of money on like diagrams and video and, all this like cool stuff to kind of explain to these people that don't know anything about medicine what the case is all about, right? Because you have to paint the picture to the jury. I mean, we don't have a jury filled with doctors and nurses, right? So if you're trying to explain a medical damage or an injury to someone that's never even touched a medical book, you have to literally paint the picture. So we have to use these different softwares and videos and diagrams and really explain to them what the actual injury was and why they should provide this punitive damage or monetary or whatever the damages are to this person that was injured. So here I am trying to just connect a laptop, to go onto a big screen, and they don't have it. And thankfully, my attorney is, awesome. He's like a
Yeah.
really great litigator, and he's really into technology. So he had everything. Like, we had brought everything with us, right? So
Bravo.
it was great. The jury was like, wow. It was like watching a movie, right? Because we made it entertaining, and we made it like we didn't put jokes in there. Obviously, you never want to joke about an injury, but we did make it like light, right? We didn't want to like, yes, we showed them the accident, we showed them this, we showed them that, like we showed them all the nitty gritty stuff, and then we're like, and this happened. It was like a Law and Order episode. Yeah, but to your point though, and the reason why I said that story is that technology has been really at the back end of the legal industry.
Yeah.
And I think the pandemic has fast forwarded that progress, right? I don't think we would be half of where we are now if it wasn't for the pandemic. So good things did come out of it, I think, anyway.
I think so too. Yeah, and there'll be a lot of innovation and a lot of things moving forward from a technology and efficiency standpoint, and hopefully a little pain will bring a lot more pleasure down the road in that instance.
More relief.
Yes. So, but we understand that is a pain point, right? And preparation is always key. And that's why, I think relying on a tech, going back to the remote depositions, they're always on about a half hour to an hour beforehand, making sure all the connections are there, and even during the deposition, should a connection go out, they're there to support it, to make sure everything kind of runs smoothly.
Yes.
You might have a deponent that, is not technically savvy. How do we make sure that, they don't cut out, or they're filming their forehead or anything like that, those kinds of things.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That reminded me, I'm a remote notary, so we were doing a remote notary session, and oh, God bless him though, he was like 80. I mean, come on, right? This little 80-year-old, and it was I don't even know what it was for, but it could only be him in the frame, and you see his little grandson that's like 10, and he's like, Grampy, I'll help you. And he's all like figuring, so when you said that popped into my head of this little 80-year-old guy trying to figure out how to connect and sign the documents. Oh my goodness.
It happens all the time. But that's why, we're here to do the hand holding for them, that's right. But you also find folks that are very technically savvy as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're not doubting anybody. And age is nothing but a number. Like, I've seen older generations that, kill it. They know more about Excel. My mom, for example, my mom's had me later on in life. I'm not going to say her age because she'll kill me. But she had me later on in life. So yeah, she's in her older age right now. But like, she used to do a lot of accounting. So she's an expert at Excel, and I suck at Excel. And she's amazing at like web and, just really running through all the technology. And, so you know what? Age is irrelevant.
Yeah, but as technology evolves, I think the interfaces become more intuitive as well. So that learning curve may subside a little bit, because of familiarity, but also because of improvements of the interface as well. And that's why you may see some more, maybe in my humble opinion, that's why you might see more adoption.
You're right. The user-friendly option is obviously, a great one. And I do a lot of software developing for other softwares. Okay. So, I'm the tester, right? So I'm the one that when they're trying to roll it out, I kind of use it, and I'm like, nope, that didn't work. Nope, that doesn't work. Nope, that doesn't work. I stay in my lane though. It's all for legal development. So I stay in my lane, but I do a lot of that for other, companies. And so, yeah, I understand that portion about being user-friendly. I'm like, I'm good at it, right? Because I've worked in multiple softwares, but I got to look at the lens of anybody else that's just starting out, a paralegal student, or someone that's just getting into it, right? You have to be as, basic as possible sometimes, even though it can do so many things, and that's the purpose. But you gotta, I think when you're pulling out any product, any service, it has to, from entry level to executive level, like it has to be, no pun intended, that is the name of my next workshop, but I'm just saying that, you have to definitely cater to everyone from every end of the spectrum, but everyone in between as well. So I think software, people, I love it that they're reaching out to paralegals like me and my colleagues, to kind of really test it out, because one, it shows that they know, They know that this is a thing right now.
Right.
And two, they know that, you know, paralegals are very valuable for that. So,
That's
you
right.
know, kudos to them. No shout outs because it's confidential, but you know who you are. Thank you very much.
Well, well, speaking of technology, it's not only, in regards to remote depositions or remote arbitrations, which we do as well.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
the remotes can be done for
Gotta
arbitrations.
love the arbitrations.
But there's, yeah, I know, but there's also back office support software as well within court reporting companies, especially Planet Depots. So we have an online repository,
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. I'm
yeah,
learning now.
so a
Yeah.
paralegal can manage their caseload, look at their schedule, upload, download exhibits if they want to, also schedule through it. So it's kind of all universal. So they don't have to, I mean, you can always pick up the phone, you always get somebody live. I mean, there's nothing
Right.
better than picking up somebody, there's no phone tree, somebody's going to pick up live. But
Okay.
sometimes if it's a large case with a lot of documents and a lot of schedulings,
Yes.
we have an interface where they can log in, manage their whole calendar, and it basically mirrors our own back office software, which is
Okay.
great. And some companies have it, I believe, maybe some don't. But I would definitely encourage your paralegals, if they are in the litigation space, to certainly explore those options, especially if it's a free service, which it is on our end. But it is great because usually that's a place where a paralegal can live as far as their deposition universe is concerned. And it keeps everything really concise and organized and efficient. Versus having to, go through multiple emails and email chains and all that thing. And especially
again, time management, right? It all goes back to managing your caseload. We are managers of caseload, so anything that makes your life easier, for sure.
That's right. That's right. So one takeaway I would say is just utilize the resources, really understand whatever court reporting company that you're working with is, really explore what they have to offer and really take advantage of it. I mean, they offer those for a reason. So take advantage of it. Let them do the heavy lifting. You don't have to go at it alone. I mean, maybe you like to.
And then when you're researching, because let's face it, paralegals do most of the research as far as what company they're going to hire or take on this certain depot or arbitration. When you're researching, don't let the price scare you, right? Because if you have to pay, I don't know, an extra $50, but you get all this other added benefit, why not? Like, and think of your hourly, sell it this way. Think of it, how much the attorney's paying you an hour, how much do they charge for an hour, and then put all that together and be like, is it worth the extra $50? Yeah, maybe.
And you could really do like a simple equation and figure that out. Is that worth
exactly
$20?
Sell it to your attorney, just like I just told you guys. You can tell them Etta Rosa told you.
You're very, very wise, Etta. You're giving good information out there.
Well, I'm a business person, right? So I think of it as a business entrepreneur right now. I never thought, I can honestly say, when I was a 9-to-5er, I never thought that way. I was just doing my tasks, managing a caseload, scheduling, caught up in the day-to-day, surprises and emergencies and putting out fires all the time, because that's just the legal industry in a nutshell. You're not going to escape that, no matter how organized you are. But I will tell you this, when I opened up my freelance and I opened up Etta Rosa LLC, I looked at the legal industry from an outsider, right? From somebody that no longer is in the day-to-day nitty-gritty. And I said, wow, I can really fix this. There's a whole bunch of things that we can do. And companies like, Planet Depot and companies like, all these case management softwares that are out there really can help with the easing of your day-to-day mundane tasks, those tasks that you look at them and you just procrastinate because you don't even want to touch them. It's not that you don't know how to do them, it's just that you don't even want to go there because it's like a little rabbit hole and it's just going to eat up your time. So companies like this that offer all these all-in-one services, definitely sell it to your attorneys and be that person, because at the end of the day, it's going to make you indispensable.
And quite honestly, it's not even necessarily selling. There's no additional cost. It's just, hey, utilizing the services that are offered to you and making the most out of it, right?
Look at that.
And
bonus.
So right. And that's why I think working with an account rep is so good. Some folks, hey, I just like to call and get it done with. But the account rep, yeah, they have a business development function, but they're also there to provide a lot of support and education as well. They want to have a relationship with you. They want to understand what is important to you. How can we tailor your experience as a paralegal to make it an enjoyable experience so everything is custom tailored? We don't know what we don't know. We can only guess sometimes, but if they're calling, pick up the phone, because it's not always a sales call. It's just, hey, we want to get to know and understand. And when there's an issue, your needs, yeah. And it's all about that. And then you might learn, hey, here's some other services, and hey, Etta, let me set you up with your own credentials here. Oh, Nate, I never knew this. I've been working with the company for 10 years. So, that kind of thing. You need to have that.
Yeah, so everything in life is a partnership, right? So when you, hire these, what I call third-party services, when you hire these third-party services, it becomes a relationship, right? So the more you communicate, the more you actually take those 10 to 15-minute calls out of your day, schedule them, right? If need be. They don't always have to be impromptu. You can always, shoot out an email and say, hey, I want to call with you. I want to see what else, Planet Depots has to offer, blah, blah, blah. We have this huge litigation case coming up and we're pre-planning everything. I want to see how you can help us out. The more you pre-plan, the more you organize your caseload, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? You're saving so much time. And we all know that trial prep is nobody likes trial prep. Come on, guys. If you like trial prep, please comment. I want to contact you because I want to know why. It's exciting because you get all the facts together, but it's so tedious and it's so time consuming. So the more you hire these third parties and invest in these third parties, trust me, your life will be so much easier. And all you have to do is focus on what a paralegal does. Strategy, organizing everything, making sure that the attorney has everything they need at the end of the day, so that they can present the case in the best way possible. That's your job. Focus on your job.
You couldn't be more spot on with that. And whether
I saw you clapping, so I'm gonna bow.
I'll give you the bravo. But I would say whether it's court reporting or any other kind of legal vendor out there, I think the view should be, see them as part of your team, not as them selling you a service, as a trusted member of your team to move things.
And choose wisely, guys. Do your research. There's a lot of scammers out there. So really do your research.
You're right. Not everybody's built the same way. Right. And, sometimes you pay for what you get, or, you just, you jump into something, by recommendation, but it pays to have a dialogue and really explore, what is out there. But I think in the long run, you'll find if you develop a real relationship and real partnership and surround yourself with a good team, everything, your life becomes much more easier, smoother, everything just kind of flows. And that's the whole key. And it's really changing the mindset of, hey, what is a sales rep versus a team member, right?
Yeah, well, just like anything else, right? So the legal industry or law firms or whatever you want to, label them at this point is a family, right? So I always use this analogy, and whoever you want to bring into your family, you got to vet them out, make sure they're good, you know what I mean? So it's just like going into a law firm for a position, hiring a third party, it all should be relevant. It all should be on the same page. It all should be the same. So definitely keep those relationships. Definitely, do your research, like I always say, and stay on top of those relationships, because at the end of the day, it's just going to save you, headaches. It's going to save you time. And maybe they have something to offer that is a bottleneck at your firm or in your job, and they can offer you that service, and you're like, wow, I didn't even know that. So definitely, look at the services of its entirety, not just what that one particular moment you need that service for.
That's right. And make sure the rep listens. Listening is the key thing. If they're talking too much, now you're getting sold. The key is listening, and listening to what your needs are as a paralegal, and speaking to them, not pushing things that are not necessarily needed. And that's where the dialogue, comes in place. But you spoke to something, and I won't take too much more of your time, but culturally, all firms are different as well. They're all different. They're all different in their own kind of ways, from personalities to the way they run things.
God bless them.
So finding that team member that kind of jives with your team is also key. What is their communication style? Can the rep, for whatever the product is, adapt to that? you know, because if they can't adapt to it, they're not going to mesh within the team as well, I think.
I love it. I love that,
So,
actually. I never even thought of that. You're right.
yeah.
Definitely. I do that unconsciously a lot.
Yeah.
When I pick my clients or pick, my guests or pick my, paralegals to coach, like I don't just take on anybody. Everybody's like, oh, do you take everybody? I'm like, no, I sit with them for 30 minutes, vet them out, see if it's a good fit, because at the end of the day, you both have to benefit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to be conversational. It has to work out.
That's right. And quite honestly, that's the best part of the job. You know, I see so many different firms and lawyers, and I learn something every time, but like shifting gears and, like I might be in a very high energy place, 1 hour, next thing I know, it's very, buttoned up and
professional and suited up, right? I get it.
Yeah, so it's like driving a car, you're shifting gears, but at the end of the day, you're making sure that you're tailoring, the dialogue and being respectful of that. And, but making sure that you're presenting something that is palatable to what they need.
Absolutely. Yeah, filling that need, right? I think that's
pony.
what we all do. We all have to fill a need. So that's what our services are all about. But thank you, Nate. I appreciate it. Yeah. I can tell you're very passionate about your job because the way you come across. So that's awesome. And thank you for sharing all that knowledge to the audience. And send over that international, what was it, a pamphlet? Informational.
Yep.
So then I can go ahead and forward that to the audience. So I appreciate your time. I know you're busy, so thank you for taking this time with me. And hopefully this is not the end. This is just the beginning. We'll talk soon.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Etta. This was a pleasure.
All right.